Oh, hello! Welcome! I am so glad that you are here today. Um, Throughout this video, you're welcome to leave comments, ask questions, or whatever over there in the comment box. I think it's over there. There? There it is. Right there. Okay. Anyway, or if you're on mobile, it's probably there. But anyway, I wanted to apologize to you guys because I know that I've been not totally active the past couple weeks, and a lot of that is because I'm a really busy guy. And that's a really, really poor excuse for neglecting you, and I apologize for that. Um, for those of you that don't know, I have a full time job working in a hotel, which is why this topic that we're going to talk about today is so important to me. It's about hospitality. More about that later. But I have that full time job. I also have a little side gig that I do at a school here locally where I work for the school and do things with the theater and auditorium, as well as the choir classroom. And then I do a handful of other things, working for a local train thing, and I just do all kinds of things. And so, because of that, I got totally bogged down with life, and I'm sorry. Okay, so that aside, leave me a comment in the box what hospitality means to you. Go ahead, put it there. There it is. There or there. Okay. And while you're doing that, I wanted to kind of open it up because well, first of all, you can go to my website, happinessandhospitality.com. I just posted a blog post this morning about what it means to be hospitable. How timely, huh? Anyway, there's that. And so I don't think that hospitality really has a concrete definition because it's different in different circumstances, right? Um, I mean, so if I see somebody that's homeless, um, I might open my home to them. I probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't. You might help them out in some way, and be hospitable to them in a certain way that wouldn't be the same as what you would do for a friend or a family member, for instance. And, so in different circumstances, being hospitable means different things. But basically, being hospitable to me means, being human, being loving, being empathetic on the inside, showing that humanness and bringing it out to others and showing the world what your humanity is. Tom says offering comfort and warmth to people, especially strangers, after a long, hard day of work. That is a very good definition. And I think that you're spot on that offering comfort and warmth to people is a great definition of hospitality. Thanks for commenting, Tom. Um, you know, it's being compassionate, right? It's being empathetic and kind of seeing things from their point of view and just making them feel comfortable. That is totally cool, Tom. I think I knew that about you, but I'm not certain that I did. Um, I know that you put out a lot of great videos about um, transportation in urban environments, and I think that a lot of the stuff that you're doing, Tom, is great. So uh, thank you for what you're doing in your life and helping to make things better. Um, and Design in the hospitality sector is really, really cool. Um, for hotel construction and renovation, I've seen a shift in making things. This is just totally going off subject a little bit and talking about hotel stuff because I'm a hotel nerd. But I've seen things shift from being warm and cozy to being efficient, if that makes sense. Um, and I think that Hilton does a good job of this, and I think that Marriott does a good job of this, um, of balancing between being comfortable and being efficient, as far as being able to clean the rooms and getting them turned around and uh, giving the appearance that the room is 100% clean. Um, but anyway, let's go back to this idea of being hospitable and where does hospitality where it comes from and its roots and how we can be hospitable and that sort of thing. um as you guys know, hospitality can't be taught, right? Like, I can't teach somebody how to care for somebody else. I can't teach somebody, now, unless it's a kid. I'm not talking about raising a child to be empathetic. That is something you can absolutely do. But a grown person, uh, I don't know that it's something that you can teach. Um, you either are an empathetic person or you're not. And I think that there are a lot of people that aren't empathetic, and I don't know how to open the door to make them more empathetic. So if you have any ideas on how to make somebody more empathetic, or how to make them realize that, hey, you need to be more empathetic, you need to be more hospitable, I'm happy to hear your ideas on that. Because I'm to be honest, I'm at a loss whenever it comes to some people and just not them not being empathetic to others' needs, and you know, just having a not caring personality. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are like that. And I think it's sad. Um, but for kids, for those of you that have kids and you are raising them, and even up through high school, I mentioned that I work at a school. I do my best to implore in them the the need to be empathetic to other people, and I try to let them know whenever they're not being the most empathetic or the most hospitable to others, or if they're being a little bit less than nice, let's say. um, and it's a culture thing. It's something that a lot of people, they grow up with a warm, hospitable environment, and so it's innate in their nature to be hospitable to others. To extend the olive branch, so to speak, and invite others into their lives. and be that person for another person. Um, you know, it's being hospitable is something that you can be taught from a young age. But once you get set in your ways, you know, like a lot of things, you know, as the saying goes, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I don't like that phrase, but I know that it's somewhat true. And there are a lot of people that, you know, they grow up with cold hearts and they don't know how to be that way. Um, Now, I am friendly by nature, and a lot of the people that I work with at the hotel are friendly by nature. And of course, that's a good thing. That's why we're in the business that we're in, because we are able to be friendly, and that really helps with our sense of hospitality. And you know, it's whenever somebody comes to check in, for instance, we look for little things that define, their visit. Like, if are they coming in because they're coming from work? So, you know, like Tom said, you know, after a long hard day of work, you know, I'm there to offer them a friendly smile and to make their day a little bit better. Um, you know, at school, I try to do the same thing by making that kid that's not having a great day. Uh, you know, there's a lot that they're just not having a great day, and you know, take that time to really just be empathetic towards that person. Um, I think to me, empathy and hospitality go hand in hand. If you are not showing any empathy to somebody else, then you aren't going to be very hospitable to that person. Um, and you know, it's not in. You don't have to make grand gestures of hospitality or grand gestures of empathy. You don't have to do a lot. Like the example I opened this video with, for instance, you don't have to be. Uh, you know, you don't have to invite homeless people into your home and that sort of thing. It's the little things. It's the little things that we do for people. That's what sticks. That's what really helps people. Um, so you know, sometimes we can do things that don't really seem significant at all. Like something that I always try to do. I always try to do this. And if you hear me say this to you or to somebody else, if you know me in person, if you don't know me in person, and I meet you and I say this to you, uh, I'm not being insincere whenever I say this, but it's something that I try to do. I try to find something that I like about the person, or that I like something that they're wearing, or something just to make them happy. So, for instance, if I see a person that's wearing a pretty shirt, or if they have a piece of jewelry that looks nice, or if I see a guy that, by the way, guys take compliments a lot different than ladies do. I've noticed that. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I've noticed that. And so with guys, it's a little bit different. I try to open with a joke for guys. With ladies, I try to you know, find something to compliment them on. And um, I like the way that you did your hair today. I like the shirt that you're wearing. That's a nice shirt. I like the piece of jewelry that you have there. It's really pretty. That sort of thing. I open with that. Um, and I'm not being insincere, but it's a way for me to connect with the person, and see that connection, um, and hopefully that brings a smile to their face. Whenever you're polite like that, you do little insignificant things. Um, they're it sticks with people. Um, and it can. I mean, even years later, I have had people come up to me and say, "Oh, you were the guy that da da da." And I'm like, "Yeah, I have no idea that I did that." Hey, Chris, I want to hear. Chris commented here that I agree about giving compliments to anyone. I love giving compliments to anyone, but what I found out is that whenever I give a compliment to a guy, it's just not as well received, and it's not. It's. I don't know if there's like a stigma behind it. I don't know. I don't know. So, what do you think about that? Have you ever complimented a person and it's just not been like, or it's been a little awkward or something? Has that ever happened? Um, I want to hear about it. Tell me about it. Um, so yeah, being complimenting a person sticks with the people because I like years later I've heard from people that have said, "Oh yeah, I remember you. You were so and so that did such and such," and I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember. I don't remember that I did that, but they did, and that's what's important. Um, you know, I pride myself on being able to do this stuff so naturally, and I do it all the time. So I don't remember that stuff. Uh, that I did that stuff, but you know what? If somebody does it for me, I remember it. I absolutely do, and that's the way it works. If somebody does it for you, you're gonna remember that. Otherwise, people aren't going to. If you're not nice, they will also remember that. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Um, So one of the things that people struggle with is that they're just not sure how to be hospitable. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm in a position to help other people. Um, and you don't have to have much to help another person. One of my favorite songs is "Through Heaven's Eyes" from Prince of Egypt, and there's these lyrics in this song that really speak to me, and so I wanna read them to you. Here, I'm gonna try to do it without singing because I haven't warmed up or anything, so my singing voice isn't gonna be 100 today. But here's the lyrics. So, how do you measure the worth of a man? In wealth or strength or size? In how much he gained or how much he gave? The answer will come to him who tries to look at his life through heaven's eyes. And that is why we share all that we have with you. So, there's little to be found when all you've got is nothing. There's a lot to go around. So, it's taking that viewpoint. We've talked about perspectives before, and it's taking your viewpoint of I have nothing, so I can give nothing, and it flips it on its head. I have nothing, so I can give a lot of what I have because I don't have anything to give, so I'm going to give it all. Um, it if I give you $10, does it mean more if I only have $10 to give, or if I have $1,000 to give and I'm giving you $10? Which of those means more? So Um, that's kind of my point there. Excuse me. Chris just left a comment about what we were talking about earlier with the compliments and guys receiving it. And it's because they have a macho air about themselves and they don't actually know how to take it. And that's something too, is they don't know how to take a compliment, especially from another guy. They don't know how that's what is that about. Um, they really just don't know. And it's one of the things that I don't know how to break that ice to say, you know what, it's okay to take a compliment. It really is. Um, so yeah, you don't need to have a lot to be hospitable to another person. Because you could be hospitable just by giving kind words, giving compliments, behaving nicely, and watching your tone so that you're a little bit nicer and nice in your tone itself is going to be helpful. Um, just look for ways to be hospitable. Um, and you know, like I said before, a lot of people are going to remember you based on how you treat them, based on how hospitable to them you are. They're going to remember that about you, um, and how hospitable we are to our environment around us too. That's a whole nother bag of worms there that we can talk about. As being hospitable to our environment around us, it's people are going to remember you for how you treat your world. uh are you treating it like a garbage can and just littering everywhere? Are you um disrespecting your environment, or are you treating it nicely and keeping your world nice? And people will remember you based on how you treat your world. um and remember that even just doing one simple thing, um that can leave a really really big impression. So really just do one simple thing. I checked a guy in last night that remembered me from 3 years ago. 3 years ago. I, to be honest, I didn't remember him. I had no idea who he was. But he remembered me simply because, let me see if I get this right. He remembered me because I knew that he was allergic to dust. That's what it was. He was allergic to dust. And I knew that because of the comments that he made in his reservation. And because I paid attention to those comments. And, we as a hotel worked as a team to make the room completely free of dust. We did some extra cleaning in that room. And so, paying attention to little details, in your life, paying attention to clues that people give you, that they'll offer up things to to give you insight onto uh, how to make their day. And it doesn't take much. Just asking a question. Just ask a question. How are you today? And if they say fine, you could probably a little bit more and say, "Oh, really? Just fine? What's going on?" And that means a lot to people. Eric here, he said he used to work with me at Holiday World. I now work with him at the school, like I mentioned earlier. He said, "How often did we have guests at Holiday World say, 'Hey, didn't you work here last year? I remember you.'" And there's one thing that I am remembered for, I more than anything else that I worked at Holiday World. I used to work this little fishy ride, and the fishies, they go in a circle and up and down, and it's really just this. I mean, it's a simple ride, and it goes. It goes a little fast, and so some kids are scared of it, whatnot. And so I would take the kids' mind off of how fast it was going, and that they were riding this thing that was taking them up and down and around in a circle. And I would come up with high fives to give them. And I mean, people just adored it. And I'm still approached to this day. I haven't worked at the park for several years, um, and I haven't worked that ride in, oh gosh, I don't even remember how long ago it's been since I've worked that ride. But I I am remembered for the fishy fives. They're like, "Oh, you're the guy with the fishy fives," and I'm like, "Yeah, I did those." And it astounds me that people still remember me just for that. You know, because I gave them a high five and I made people's experience in this world better. And that was my job at the time. Working at the park and running a ride. That was my job. And this doesn't have to be just about your job or your work. This can apply to life in general. Just being hospitable and doing little things to make people's life on Earth better. And I don't think that's a really bad thing. I think it's a great thing. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do this week to make somebody's life on this Earth better? Let me know in the comments. And until then, y'all get happy. Thanks for watching.